Hi guys, I'm Sims. Hi guys, I'm Sims Babe. Hope you're doing well and welcome to a new video. So, I apologize for being in a dark lit room. Number one, look better in the dark. Number two, don't like being in the light, it hurts my eyes. And number three, for some reason, my teenage years have caught up to me and I never really struggled with acne when I was younger, but for some reason now I am breaking out. So I'm staying in the dark to somehow not make this video less appealing. Also, I've just noticed how bad my wall looks on camera. Just ignore it. I ran out of paint when I was painting my bedroom. I ran out of paint. The top of the wall isn't even painted, and up there above my curtains is the same. Anyway, but no. So in today's video, I am attempting a build challenge, and not one in specific, just let me explain. I was scrolling through my YouTube recommended and this video popped up by a YouTuber of the name of Faulty, and this video was him attempting to build a high school in this game called Bloxburg, which is a Roblox game. And I know in my previous video I was talking about Roblox because I used to play this game when I was 11 and it just really inspired my save file that I'm building. But anyways, I promise this is not becoming a building Roblox things in Sims channel. I promise this is not what this is. This video came on my recommended by chance, and it was just a really good build. I had to build it, honestly. So anyways, I saw the thumbnail and I was like, this looks too good. I need it in Sims. I need it in Sims because it looked so good. But there was some problems that came whilst I was building it. So in total, this build probably took me 11 to 12 hours. So in the game that Faulty used to build this high school, I started playing this in 2017 and stopped playing it around 2022. I'm not kidding, this is better than Sims 3 build mode and Sims 2 build mode. Like, the build mode in this game is insane. When it started, it was more just like Sims 3 build mode, but then they added these tools. You could pretty much do whatever you wanted and it was insane. And this is great for the game, but became a massive problem for me in The Sims, which is actually a very limited to say the least in build mode. We don't have creator style anymore. We don't have any tools to do exactly what we would like, apart from making CC, which I am not skilled enough to do. So this just became a massive problem and I had to improvise, but I think I did the best I could. But I'm gonna stop yapping because this has been a long intro. So I'm gonna show you guys exactly how this build process went and I hope you enjoy. So this is the best overview of the build from the outside that I could find. And first I decided to focus on doing the floor plan and then doing all of the exterior details, and then doing the interior. So I didn't record my process of doing the layout because my game crashed the most when I was doing the layout. So when I would record me doing the layout, it wouldn't go smoothly because I'd have to restart about 15 times. So yeah, I just decided to get the floor plan out of the way and then start recording everything. So I recorded everything when I started working on the roofs, and yeah, I hope my build looked, it does look similar, but I hope it was able to look as good as Faulty's original build. And I'm gonna keep it real with you guys, the most time consuming part of this build was the little wooden details that are on the long sides of the 3D parts of the sticky out bits. Those were the most time consuming thing and it was so frustrating. And when I lifted the school up on a foundation, they all like moved like down a bit and I didn't replace them or anything. I just left it the way they were because I was not doing all of that again. But it was just these little wooden details were so frustrating, but honestly, it was all worth it. It looks really good. So at this point, this is how my build was looking, and this is how Faulty's build was looking, and I was like, you know what? I'm kind of cooking. Thank you, Faulty, for giving me this idea. Like, honestly, I really can't thank myself. It's just, if I built a good build in Sims, it's because I tried to recreate his. Like, literally no credit to me, but he did such a good job, and I was starting to think, you know what? This is cooking. So we got the parking lot out of the way and some of the planters that were outside, and that's not really an entertaining bit, so I'm not going to include it. Then I decided to go onto the inside of the build and tried to recreate one of the first, I'd say this looks like the main entrance. I tried to recreate the main entrance, and this is low-key where it got quite difficult. So this was Faulty's lobby. As you can see here, there's a lot of things that aren't possible in The Sims 4. Those tiny minimalist lockers, those stairs that you can sit on, that beautiful design on the roof, those metal detectors. Yeah, no, I can't get any of those in. Well, okay, actually now I've got some CC that could do the thing, the like metal detectors or ID scanners, but anyways, those details on the roof, not possible. Those stairs that you could sit on, not possible. So I was like, oh no, I've got to try my best. I really like the stairs that you could sit on though, but as much as I wanted those, I could not have those in Sims. I tried with platforms, but it didn't work. So this is where it actually started to become a challenge, to be honest. So pretty much for this part, it got difficult because number one, on the stairs, Faulty had railing. Where the half wall is, Faulty had railing, but because of me placing stairs on a platform, if I used railing, it would make the wall of the stair go away, and I wanted the wall to still be underneath the stairs, if that makes sense. I didn't want you to be able to see under the platform or under the stairs, if that makes sense. So yeah, I wanted to do the railing, but I couldn't, so I decided to use a half wall and then just put the railing on the stairs, and it worked out because there's supposed to be lockers in front of the half wall as well, and the railing basically it looked really bad when I used railings and then put lockers in front of it, because the lockers were taller than the railings, but with using the half wall, it looked separate and it looked way more neat, and it was just great. And then obviously in The Sims, we don't have these big planters that Faulty had in his lobby, and you definitely can't make circles that small in Sims. You can only make them like technically 4x4, I think is the smallest you could have. You can't make a 2x2 circle in The Sims, which is so dumb. But anyways, I decided to use CC swimming pools to make a planter because I didn't know what else to do. I don't remember which. I think in the end I ended up using a circle swimming pool, but in the recording I may have used just a square planter. But in the end I decided to use a circle swimming pool with, for some reason I had this CC that was like sand for a sandbox, and it was in a circle, but it looked like dirt. So I made it higher and used that for the dirt in the planter, and it worked out well. So I guess that was just lucky, but I don't even know why I had that CC in my game anyways. So after finishing that area of the main lobby, I was pretty much done with that area for now, until I worked on the hallway, but that area was pretty much done, and I thought, okay, this is going okay. And I was facing less and less crashes. Tell you a secret, I'd actually already finished that part of the build, and then right after I finished it, my game crashed. I'm not even joking. I think I deleted the recording of it, but I'm not joking. I finished that part of the build, and then you literally see through OBS how my Sims game just closes. I was raging. And the next area of the build that I decided to work on was actually the area from the thumbnail of Faulty's video. So the next portion of the build that I decided to work on got 10 times more difficult for me, because he had this really cool conversation pit, and I couldn't recreate that properly because, again, Sims, when you do try to place objects on the edge of a platform, Sims just works really weird and you can't do it. If you place an object a certain amount of distance between a platform, it moves it to the level of the platform. If you get what I'm saying, if you're a simmer, you understand what I'm saying. If you're not a simmer, I'm sorry, I can't explain it very well. So basically this prevented me from recreating it exactly how Faulty did, but that was okay. he had an escalator in this part of the build, and I did decide to use my escalator CC because I at least wanted to use it once, and it stuck out at the edge of the build, but it wasn't like part of the build that you could see, so I was like, I'll just let it slide. You can't see it. So obviously I used the escalator. The main problem was those glass panes that were hanging from the ceiling. Obviously I do not think any modder has made any type of CC like that. And I was genuinely sitting there debating, do I make CC? Do I learn how to make CC just for the sake of this build challenge? Do I do that? I really wanted to, but honestly I knew that would just take way too much time. So I decided to get creative, and I used lights from the Dine Out pack. I used those big ass round lights from the Dine Out pack and just changed the colors and tried to recreate what the amazing stunt that Faulty did, the beautiful thing that Faulty did. I tried to recreate that with lights from the Dine Out pack, and honestly it wasn't a bad idea, but Faulty did it better. And also I want to quickly say I am sorry that I'm speeding through this video so fast, but it's literally, like I said, it took me like 11 to 12 hours to build, so you can probably imagine how much footage I've got. I'm trying to go through it as fast as I can for the sake of not posting a 5-hour long video. But anyways, imagine now spending about 45 minutes building a really nice library, and then you get an infinite save screen, because that is exactly what happened to me. Built the library all, finished it, and then my game decided to give me an infinite save screen, and I had to redo it all. So if you can't tell, we're moving on to the library, and this is Faulty's library. My version actually looked a bit different, as in I added some more computers, I think, just for the sake of Sims actually having to be Sims at high school and use computers for like the clubs, I think. So a quick note about some of the things in this school. Some of them aren't actually usable. The classrooms are usable, the cafeteria is usable, I think the gymnasium is usable, but some of the little areas, like I think maybe the conversation pit, can't be properly functional because of Sims and routing, stupid Sims routing. But the library, I don't think these tables are usable, because for example this circle table, I don't think there's actually enough space for Sims to sit around it because of it's in a small area. But I don't really mind, because honestly that just gives me more opportunities to not have stupid Sim autonomy moments. So if all of the objects on this lot aren't functional, that is perfectly fine, because that just means Sims can't be stupid and autonomous. But yeah, not all of these objects are functional, but I didn't really care about that. I just wanted it to look nice. As long as the main functions of the high school are usable, then I don't mind. But yeah, not all of it's functional, but who cares? Who cares? So after I finished the library, I decided to move on to the cafeteria, and this I really had to improvise because Faulty used these circle tables and we don't have any. I looked for CC, no round cafeteria tables, just rectangular ones, and that really made me sad because I really wanted the circle ones, but we can't have everything we want in The Sims 4 because it's very limited. So I also really struggled with the layout for the cafeteria because it was actually very small. So I had to rework the shape a little bit and ended up being able to have 4 tables, and I added a planter in the cafeteria, but there's not one in Faulty's original build. So yeah, I had to really improvise with the cafeteria because I wasn't able to make it identical. So I had to do the best that I could. I was gonna add some cafeteria tables outside of the cafeteria too, but the areas weren't big enough, so I didn't end up doing that, unfortunately. But I would have loved to have some outdoor seats, but I couldn't. So something that was also super frustrating about this, the cafeteria, was that the cafeteria benches in The Sims 4 come in very specific colours, and I didn't want to break the colour theme. It was very beige, white, and mainly green and yellow, and I didn't want to break that theme. And Faulty had a beige cafeteria table. I could only have a black and brown one, so I decided to just roll with it and It ended up working out because I remember that we have vending machines in The Sims, and then I started adding black vending machines throughout the whole build, and it worked in the black really well into the build, I guess, because it was kind of like a break. So in the end it turned out fine, but yeah, at first I wasn't too happy about having to use a black cafeteria bench because I was like, it's not cohesive, and I didn't like how Faulty's cafeteria was so minimalist and so nice, and this one was a mess. And he had these really cool square blocks on the ceiling, like not the reflective glass panes, it was these really cool square blocks on the ceiling. So I had to improvise with that too, and I don't remember if I used the circle lights from Dine Out, but there was square ones that I decided to use later in the build. So I may have used the circle ones that I used in the other room, but I also could have used the square ones, but I'm not sure. But yeah, I just decided to rely on those lights from Dine Out because honestly they were the closest thing I could get to any of Faulty's cool structural elements. So as sad as I was about not being able to create the cafeteria exactly as Faulty had it, I actually really love how this one turned out. I love the vending machines in there. I actually think this is one of the rooms that I'm actually happy I wasn't able to recreate, because I love how the cafeteria actually did turn out, which is surprising, because I really wanted to stick and recreate it as much as I could, but I guess it was a blessing in disguise that I couldn't, because I love how this one turned out. So at this point, believe it or not, I've actually cut out a lot because I kept, I would start like a room and then think, actually no, I don't like it. Like the bathrooms, I couldn't do exactly what Faulty had done because the Sims 4 cubicles are like too big. So some of the stuff that Faulty had done for some of the rooms, I literally couldn't recreate in the Sims 4. So yeah, there was a lot of that I've had to cut out because I would start something and then think, I really don't know how I'm gonna do this, so I'll come back to it. So yeah, but believe it or not, we are 6 hours into the video and we're at the 16-minute mark in the video, which I cannot believe I've just numbed down 6 hours into 16 minutes. But anyways, as I just said, I'd been recording and building for 6 hours at this point, so I decided to take a break. And when I came back, I decided to work on the exterior, as in the actual, like the back of the school, which featured a small field? Not a field, but like a pitch. In the UK we call these pitch. I don't know if you guys understand what I'm talking about, but there was a small pitch in the back of the school, so I decided to work on the exterior for the outside, and I actually really love how it turned out. So I was kind of skeptical about how this part would turn out because number one, I didn't know how well, or the size of this, like the size of the build, as in I didn't know what it would translate to in The Sims, because it filled up Faulty's whole plot in his game, so I didn't know if it would fill a whole plot in Sims. But the high school lot is a 64x64 lot, and this was my first time building a high school despite pre-ordering High School Years. I had pre-ordered High School Years, so I've had it since it came out, and I've never built a high school before, so this was my first time. But considering it had the pitch outside, I was kind of like, what do I do? Because obviously, if you haven't seen it in The Sims 4, behind the actual high school lot is there's bleachers and there's a track field and cheerleading mats in the back of the school anyways, but that's not an actual lot, that's just in the world. So I was thinking, like, would there be any point in putting a pitch on this lot? Because at first I didn't know how big it was gonna be, and then after I realized I had the space, I was like, is there any actual point in putting one of these down? Because there's the space behind the school. But then I was like, in my old school we had a pitch at the school anyways, because break and lunch people like to play football and whatnot, or soccer for you Americans. So anyways, I've just made myself laugh so much that I'm turning red. But anyways, Yeah, so we just had these in our schools anyway because of break and lunchtime, and then for PE we also had them. But at my old school we also did have a track field behind our school, so I was like, well, if it's happened at a real school, if they've got a pitch at the school but then also got a field behind the school, then it should be fine and I can do it in Sims. And I did it anyway because PE classes on the pitch, even though the Sims isn't as good to have PE classes, and break and lunch people like to play fitness outside, and just why not? It's nice. It's a nice recreational thing, so I decided to go ahead with it. So something that I actually really liked from Faulty's original build was the really cool shaped pathway that he had in the back of the school. That I loved it so much. It was just really cool to me, really cool, and it was just so peaceful to me. Like, I loved it. And obviously the little there's like greenery around it as well. It just seems so peaceful. I want to go to this school so bad, but the problem is in Bloxburg you can say do a diagonal wall that is say 1x2, but in Sims you can only do diagonal walls that are 2x2. I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. So in the Sims 4 you can only go at a 45-degree angle, whereas in Bloxburg you can practically go at whatever angle you want with a diagonal wall. So my path shape looked a bit scuffed compared to his because obviously I couldn't recreate all of the diagonal walls the way he could, but I do really still like how mine turned out. And if you haven't noticed by now, I haven't really added any of the greenery in the recording because I don't see the point in including it, because I can only assume it's not very entertaining to watch, and it would just make the video even more unnecessarily long than it already is. So yeah, for the bleachers I kind of improvised and put benches on a platform. Even if the second level of benches aren't functional, I actually really liked how this looked. It looked kind of like really modern and it just matched the vibe of the school, so I do really like how they turned out. So yeah, not having bleachers was also kind of a blessing in disguise, just like the cafeteria. So now that I've pretty much completed the exterior of the build, I decided to come back in and tackle the classrooms. So unfortunately, the layout that Faulty used for his classrooms weren't big enough for Sims 4 classrooms. So I pretty much had to do my own layout for these, so I decided to include one classroom on the first floor and the principal office on the second floor and the second classroom on the second floor as well. These didn't follow Faulty's build or anything, and neither did the layout. I really struggled with them. I literally attempted these classrooms about 4 times at the start of the build, but I just couldn't figure out what to do for the life of me. And I did try to decorate them just as basic classrooms, but they didn't look very good. So in the end, I decided to go with themed classrooms, but I pretty much had to use my own brain for these rooms, unfortunately. But I think they turned out pretty okay, to be honest. So the first classroom I decided to work on was a science classroom, and so I pretty much took inspiration, unfortunately, from my old school for this build, for this classroom anyways. So in my old school we'd have like a little pillar which would have a sink, and the pillar would have outlets on them so we could plug in equipment if we needed to, and then we'd have our tables surrounding the pillars with the sinks, if that makes sense. So I decided to do something similar for this classroom. I made the little pillar in the middle and put the tables around it, and hopefully with the way I've laid out these tables, hopefully it's functional. I haven't tested it. And just before this, I had found this kitchen that was like a tile kitchen by Tuds, I think, but I may be wrong. And that came with these really cool counters that were like just tile, and it was kind of perfect for this. So yeah, I thought the science lab ended up kind of cool. I also just remembered the creator that I did take inspiration for this classroom. So I was looking for inspiration for the classroom on like Google, because I literally couldn't figure out how to do this classroom for the life of me. And then I found this simmer called Bianca ML, I think that's her name, and she built a modern high school, and I found the picture of her science lab on Pinterest, and I was like, oh, this is really nice, and it's kind of the vibe that I was going for. So I did take some inspiration from that too. So yeah, I'll leave a link to that in the description, as I pretty much always do. But yeah, thank you for Bianca for posting your science classroom on Pinterest, because I took inspo. So after I completed the science classroom, I decided to move on to the next classroom, which was the computer classroom. And I know I haven't really included any screenshots of the finished rooms yet. That's because I'm going to include them all at the end of the video. So don't worry, I haven't forgotten to show you. I'm just going to include them at the end. But for the computer classroom, at the beginning, it looks like kind of a mess because I couldn't figure out the layout of the classroom, and I'd already placed tables in here like a little bit ago. But I couldn't figure out how to do it, so I left it and then came back to revisit it. But I actually really like the layout that I ended up with, and I know that there's technically not enough computers in the class for all of the students, but hey ho, usually when we would have computer classes in our school, we would leave the classrooms and go to the computer classrooms. So it doesn't matter if there's not enough computers, it just matters how it looks. And it's not like The Sims 4 has computer class anyways. It's not like The Sims 4 has any actual different classes for subjects at all, if you understand what I'm saying. Yes, we can attend science class, yes, we can attend math class, but do we actually do any actions that look like science class or math class? No. So it doesn't really matter what the classrooms have and what they don't have. So this is finally the last room of the school that we're moving on to, and that is the gymnasium. And this is Faulty's gymnasium, and obviously I couldn't make mine exactly look like that because he used a lot of basic shapes in his, and his looked amazing, and we could never have something like that in The Sims 4, could we? No. So I did want to go with the green and orange theme that Faulty had, but I obviously couldn't. The closest thing I had to like the pads on the wall that he had was these MCM panels, so I decided to use those throughout the build. And the vents that I did use in the beginning were horrible, but I ended up finding some new, more minimalistic vents that looked cooler, so I used those. And I actually used a lot of the Hula Zombie School Spirit CC, I think that's the set, to add the banners and stuff to the field outside and throughout the actual school. I know I didn't include all of the decorations of the school and stuff. I wanted to keep the video kind of short and condensed and mainly focus on the main rooms, but I will obviously be giving you guys, will obviously be showing what it looks like, so don't worry, you haven't missed out on anything. But for the gymnasium, I also started decorating it the way that Faulty was decorating it, realizing, hold on, I'm not actually putting anything that Sims need to use in here. So then I obviously put out like actual gym equipment in here because Sims do use these. So I decided to actually put real gym equipment in that Sims could use. I didn't put much, I don't think. I think I only put like a CrossFit thing in there. I don't really remember. But I also did the same thing for the bleachers in here. And just put some deco workout equipment, I think. And unfortunately I don't have any locker rooms in this build. I would have liked to add some, but I just don't have the space. But I don't really think they're mandatory anyways. Like showers and stuff weren't on the requirements for high school, so yeah, I don't think I messed up by not adding any. So believe it or not, those grey benches that I just placed were the last objects for the build. No, not really. After this, I just added some minor decorations that didn't really needed to be included in the video. So if it looks like I didn't decorate every inch of the build in the video, it's because only in the speed build process, I only wanted to include the main rooms like the gym, the cafeteria, the classrooms, and the common areas, and the library. But yeah, so obviously guys, I'm gonna show you guys what my school looks like and compare it to Faulty's, so hopefully you don't think I did that bad of a job. So this is how my version of Faulty's school turned out, and a quick reminder, this is how his looks. He definitely did it better and it looks way nicer, and this is how mine turned out. I tried my best to recreate it the best that I could. This is what I could do, and actually looking at these pictures in comparison, his build is actually way nicer than mine, but we moved. I still like how it looks. So this is how my lobby turned out. It does definitely not look as good as Faulty's, but we move. The only differences in mine, I think, is that obviously the planter, actually there's a lot of differences in mine. But I decided to add some extra vending machines and some benches and the school flag, and this is how Faulty's looks. So obviously his looks way better than mine. His build was actually made in a game that had the tools to make what he wanted. In The Sims, I was very limited. I'm gonna use that as my excuse. He had the amazing details on the ceiling. His planter looked so much better than mine. His little scanner thingies look so good. And I think I'm gonna add some small details back that I don't have yet, because I've got some new CC on my game, so I can add some new details that will make this build a bit better. But I did the best that I could. So yeah. So this is actually the first classroom, and it is on the first floor. It's the computer classroom. Obviously I don't really have a picture to show you of what I based it on because I had to improvise. But yeah, this is what I decided to do with the computer classroom. I actually really like how it looks. I don't necessarily hate any part of this build, to be honest. I quite like all of it. But yeah, this is how the computer classroom ended up. So yeah, I really like it. So this is how my conversation pit area turned out. Faulty obviously did all of them better, but I had to do the best that I could. Obviously all of the rooms are gonna look slightly different, but that's because I literally can't recreate everything exactly in The Sims 4. So yeah, I did the best I could. I do really like how it turned out, and I think using the lights from the dine out pack was actually a really good shout. This is how Faulty's looked. I'm sorry about the quality of this picture. It's a screenshot, a very tiny screenshot. But yeah, his just looks so much better, and this is how mine turned out. And now, you know, every time I look at his and then I look at mine, I think you really didn't do a good job. But I do like how it turned out. I just wish Sims had the tools to do what the hell Faulty did, because honestly he made such a nice build. So this is the second floor of my library, and I love my library. I think it's so beautiful. I love my library. I think the library is one of my favorite parts of this build, aside from the cafeteria. But I actually really love the library, just all of it. I love it so much. But this is my top floor of the library, and then this was Faulty's. I do think he did everything much better, but I do also definitely love mine. Like, he definitely did everything a lot better, but that doesn't mean I love mine any less, because his version was great, but I think my version is also very nice too. And then as for the second, like the first floor of the library, this is how mine turned out. I love it. I love it. They could never make me hate you, library. But this is how Faulty's looked, and again, he just did everything so much better than me. I won't lie. I know he did, but I do really... Okay, that's just class. As I was saying, I do think that Faulty definitely did everything 100% better than me, but I still just love how mine turned out. I really do. I love it so much. So much. As for the cafeteria, this is my version. It looks a lot different to Faulty's because I had to make mine look very different, because the objects that he had were all custom. I could not do that in The Sims 4. We don't have round cafeteria tables in The Sims 4, so I had to work with what we had. This is Faulty's version. This is my version. You know, it doesn't really look similar at all, but I tried. And this may be one of the rare occasions where maybe, just maybe a little tiny bit, I like how mine turned out a bit more. Don't get me wrong, Faulty did an insane job, but I like this cafeteria a lot. I really do. I don't know, I really like it. I think the black goes in well to the build, but yeah, I really love the cafeteria. I want to eat in this cafeteria. So this is how the gymnasium turned out. Obviously, I placed actual gym equipment that Sims could use, because I think those were in most high school builds. So I used the actual gym equipment, like actual usable gym equipment, should I say. I still tried to recreate everything to the best I could. Obviously, I had to change some things, but I still like how the gym turned out. But I definitely still prefer Faulty's, because his was actually amazing. Like, look at that! Like, just, oh my god, his build, it was just so amazing, and I could never do that justice in The Sims 4, never. But I still really like how the gym is not my favorite room, I won't lie. I don't really like my gym at all, to be honest. It is what it is. I guess sometimes we all do things that we're not proud of, I don't know. But yeah, the gym, it's not my favorite, but we move. So currently, tell a lie, my school still doesn't have any greenery. I haven't placed it yet. I actually cannot place it currently because as The Sims 4 stands right now, if I save my game, I'm probably going to corrupt it because not all mods have been updated. So yeah, I'm not risking, I'm not putting anything on this lot. I'm not risking saving my game right now. I'll place it all when all my mods are up to date, and I'm not scared to save. But yeah. This is how Faulty's area of the build turned out, and this was my attempt, and currently it looks very sad because there's no greenery, but I think that this little cool shaped path here, love it. Chef's kiss, and it's gonna look so good when there's greenery. I just cannot wait. And whilst we're out here, this is my soccer pitch. And this was Faulty's. Again, look, I'm not going to keep repeating that I think Faulty did a better job, but just know every time I look at my build and then look at his, I think he did it better every time. But I still do love how my build turned out. It was a good attempt for everything that I had to work with. I will give myself credit for that. The parking lot doesn't really have anything special. I guess I just added a bike rack and Faulty didn't have that, so I guess I win in that situation because I put a bike rack. So onto the second floor, I don't have any pictures of this portion of the build because I had to do it based off of my own, well, I had to do it all myself because Faulty's layout wasn't big enough for The Sims. So yeah, I had to decide all of the decorations up here myself, but I think it looks alright, I guess. It's just a hallway. I don't really know how to make a hallway interesting. Although I do really like this rug with the chair. So the entrance for the principal's office is actually right here, right next to the science lab. And there is a, I guess, canvas of the school logo. As for the principal's office, this is how it looks. Nothing interesting, super boring, super plain. I don't know what you expect from me. It's the principal's office, please. But yeah, this is how it looks. And right next to the principal's office, we have the science lab, and I think this might also be one of my favorite rooms. I really love the science lab. It's funny because in school I never liked science, but this science lab, I would science the hell out of it. I sucked at science, but I would love to do science in this classroom. In this classroom, I wouldn't sit on my phone the whole lesson. Nuh-uh, I would actually pay attention. Whoopsie. I think one of my favorite parts about this room is just the windows looking out. Like, I really love that. That it must be such like a nice view. Like, I think I would get distracted in this class looking out the window, to be honest. But that's just me and my awful attention span. And believe it or not, that actually puts us at the end of everything. So I will give you guys a quick overview of both of the floors so that you can see any rooms that I haven't shown. So this is the overview of the first floor of the left and middle block. This is the second. This is the first floor of the right block, and this is the second, because these are pretty much double height rooms. So yeah. As for any rooms or areas that don't really have any decoration in, I'll probably add them in the future, just when my game is safe to save. But yeah. So that does actually bring us to the end of my video, and I just want to say all credit to Faulty. His build was amazing. I'm actually really happy that it popped up on my recommended. It was magic that it did. Please go check out Faulty's channel, because even if you don't play Roblox, I will tell you, seeing builds in other games is actually so helpful for build inspiration in The Sims. I've done it with other games before. If I've seen a cool house in House Flipper, I have attempted to recreate it in The Sims. But yeah, even if you aren't interested in Roblox videos, just go check out his channel anyway, because I promise he will give you some type of build inspiration for your Sims game, like he did for me. I've never built a high school, and that was my first time, and I loved it. I want to build another one, but I definitely know I'm not capable of that. Thank you guys so much for sticking around if you've watched this far, or sticking around to whatever part you did. I'm Sims Babe. I hope you are doing well, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye guys.